The mode of repairing the sterility of the Most Holy Mother Anne did not consist in the restitution of that condition which was wanting in her natural faculties of conception, for thus restored she would have conceived in no way different from the rest of women. The Lord concurred with her sterile faculties in a more miraculous manner for the formation of the body from natural material. Thus the faculties in the material were of the natural order, but the manner of moving them happened by the miraculous power of the divinity. As soon as the miracle of this conception had ceased, the mother was left in her former sterility, never to conceive again, since no new quality was taken from or added to the natural temperament. This wonder, it seems to me, can be made intelligible by that which our Saviour wrought when St. Peter walked over the water. In order to sustain him, the water was not necessarily changed into crystal or ice, over which he and others could have walked without requiring any miraculous intervention except that of thus suddenly changing it into ice. But without thus changing the water, the Lord gave it the power to sustain the body of the apostle. It remained in a liquid state both during and after the miracle, for when St. Peter ran over it, he began to sink and was about to drown. The miracle therefore was performed without changing the water by the addition of a new quality. Much like to this, though much more wonderful, was the miracle of the conception of Mary Most Holy in her mother Anne. The parents were so entirely governed by grace and withdrawn from concupiscence and delectation that the accidental imperfections which ordinarily are the material or the instruments of conception, and which induce original sin, were altogether wanting. Thus was furnished a material exempt from imperfection, and furnished in such a manner that the act itself was meritorious. Hence, in so far as this act was concerned, it could easily be free from sin or imperfection, even if divine providence had not previously arranged every particular of this event. This miracle the Almighty reserved solely for her, who was to be a mother worthy of himself. For if it was proper that the material part of his being should have its origin according to the order maintained in the conception of the other children of Adam, it was likewise eminently proper that, without destroying nature, grace should concur in it with all its efficacy and power, and that it should excel in her and act in her more efficaciously than in all the children of Adam, yea, be greater than even in Adam and Eve, who gave origin to the corruption of nature and to its disorderly concupiscence. In the formation of the body of the Most Holy Mary, the wisdom and power of the Almighty proceeded so cautiously that the quantities and qualities of the four natural elements of the human body, the sanguine, melancholic, phlegmatic, and choleric, were compounded in exact proportion and measure, in order that by this most perfect proportion in its mixture and composition, it might assist the operations of that holy soul with which it was to be endowed and animated. This wonderfully composed temperament was afterwards the source and the cause, which in its own way made possible the serenity and peace that reigned in the powers and faculties of the Queen of Heaven during all her life. Never did any of these elements oppose or contradict nor seek to predominate over the others, but each one of them supplemented and served the others, continuing in this well-ordered fabric without corruption or decay. Never did the body of the Most Holy Mary suffer from the taint of corruption, nor was there anything wanting or anything excessive found in it, but all the conditions and proportions of the different elements were continuously adjusted without any want or excess in what was necessary for her perfect existence, and without excess or default in dryness or moisture. Neither was there more warmth than was necessary for maintenance of life or digestion, nor more cold than was necessary for the right temperature and for the maintenance of the bodily humors. Nor was this body, on account of its admirable composition, less sensible to the influence of heat and cold and the other inclemencies of the weather, but rather, as it was more delicately and perfectly constituted, so it was more acutely affected by any extremes, not being able to furnish a defense against the excess of temperature in those parts which were more subject to them. Certainly, on the one hand, these extremes would find in such a harmoniously constituted frame much less material in which they could work their changes. Nevertheless, on the other hand, the delicacy of its composition made even ordinary influences much more penetrating than greater ones in other bodies. This admirable body, thus formed in the womb of holy Anne, was not capable of spiritual gifts before it was animated by the soul, but it was capable of receiving the natural ones. These were given to this body in supernatural degree and by supernatural power, so as to accord with the high purpose and the singular gifts for which it was formed. And in this it surpassed all others in the order of nature and grace. Thus were given to it a complexion and faculties so excellent that all nature would never of itself be able to produce one similar to it.